The Sacramento Kings take down the Milwaukee Bucks 135 to 133, 2-point victory led by Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Dennis Schroeder, Demonis Sabonis. The big four accumulated for. I ain't even go. I don't have time to do the math, and I'm not gonna do the math. I'm not that smart of a person. But Zach LaVine had 31. DeMar DeRozan had 29. Schroeder and Sabonis both put in with 24. Russell Westbrook had a double-double off the bench. 12 points, 10 assists, and 5 rebounds. Easily, easily the best win of the season. I understand that it's the second win of the season, but it's the best. And I think when I'm looking ahead, right, the Kings are what, 2-4, 2-5, whatever, whatnot. I think this might be the best win of the year, regardless of what happens next. You go into Milwaukee and knock off Giannis and the Bucks, who had a 47-point first quarter. 47. I feel like if you score 47 in the first quarter, I don't care how many points the other team score. If you score 47 points in the first quarter, you're supposed to win. That is not what happened. And I think that also adds to a situation which is already tricky with Giannis. And, obviously, what 2 games ago or whatever, I forget who they were playing. But Giannis, he made a play and he's talking about, this is my city, I ain't going nowhere. Whatever people, said he said. But after losing to the Kings in this fashion, after scoring 47 in the first quarter, they were up 71 to 70 at halftime. This is not good for the Milwaukee Bucks. We could talk, it's a whole lot of negatives we could talk about when it comes to the Kings. It's a whole lot. We could say we too old. We could say, the team has a bunch of talent and don't mix. But when you're looking at the Bucks and it's like it's a superstar, not even a star, but a superstar that you're trying to keep in your organization, because if you lose that superstar, you turn into one of the bottom feeder franchises. And I mean that with the most respect that I can possibly say it with. But that's what the Bucks are faced with. If Giannis goes, everything goes. I didn't see him say, this is my city and this is my team and I ain't going nowhere tonight. I seen 26, 11, and 8, and 1 steal and 1 block. And he was a -1. But I seen a guy who everybody else in the NBA would love to take away from the Milwaukee Bucks. And the Sacramento Kings highlighted today, I was going to say tonight, but today they highlighted that Giannis needs help in Milwaukee. Miles Turner came out hot. He finished the game with 9 points on 3 of 6, field goals, 3 or 4 from the three, all threes. 0 blocks, 2 steals. We know who Miles Turner is. Ryan Rollins doing his, shout out to Ryan Rollins. First off, let me say that 16 points, 8 assists, 2 steals. Just came off of, I think, a 30-something point night, a career night. Like, Milwaukee is overachieving. And although they're overachieving, it might not be enough. It might not be enough to a team. When you look at today's game, you're looking at some Sacramento, right? Who has I don't know. I would say, as far as standings go, I would say they've underachieved. I would say that. I could say that comfortably because obviously, guys like Neat Clifford, who didn't score today, he had 3 rebounds and a block, shot the ball once, but was a +8. You got guys like him who's been hurt. He was hurt every game of the season except the opener. Keegan Murray hasn't made his season debut. You got a Russell Westbrook who you threw in without a training camp anything. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I would say the Kings are, and I'm when I listen back to this, I might be saying this wrong because I'm talking and I'm thinking at the same time. But I think the Kings are underachieving. I think the Kings are better than what they've shown thus far if they're healthy. There you go. I think that's accurate. When we listen back to this, I think I said that right. I think I said exactly what I meant to say. Because if Keegan Murray is playing, I think they win some of those games, like against OKC, for instance. I think they win that game if Keegan Murray is playing. I think they win that game if Neat Clifford is playing. Although, like tonight, like I said, Neat Clifford didn't give us any points, but he's a +8. He's just a guy. He's a guy that know how to play basketball. And even in I'm not saying anybody doesn't know how to play basketball, to clarify that, but there's sometimes you just need certain people in certain situations. If they're not available, you struggle. And I think the Kings have had that throughout the start of the season. I think you have players that impact winning, and sometimes the Kings are missing that. Tonight, fortunately, they didn't fall victim to that because they were without Malik Monk. And for those who thinking like, oh, we don't need Malik, nah, that's bull. That's not the case at all. Kings played a great game. Doug Christie put out a great game plan, and they went out there and they got a close victory, 135, 133. That's all that happened. Has nothing to do with Malik. Has nothing to do with Keegan not being there or Neat not. Whatever. Like, nah, they went that the guys that were available, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 10 players that they played. No matter how many, Maxime Reynald, the second round pick, played just about 4 minutes. Whatever that was, they did what they were supposed to do. They did what they can, and they pulled out a victory. And the beam is going to be lit. I'm gonna be at the arena actually in like the next like 15 minutes, so this gonna be a short episode. But I'm gonna be at the Golden One Center with my family, um, watching. This is actually my first time too. I'm completely off topic, but who the host of the show? Me. I am. I can talk about what I want. But I'm gonna be at the Golden One Center tonight watching Disney on Ice, and it's Frozen and Encanto. And meanwhile, while I'm there enjoying, the ice skaters and the show and everything, I get to come out to that big, beautiful purple beam in the sky that Levine, DeRozan, Sabonis, Schroeder, and company secured. They went out there. This was a game. I'm gonna be honest. This was a game I thought they were going to lose, and it's not even because of on paper. On paper, I think the Kings could beat anybody. On paper, any given night, I think they can win. But as the game went, And when I thought about the matchup with Giannis specifically, I was like, if the game is close, which it was, I was like, Giannis is going to do Giannis. The Greek freak is go get freaky. That's what I thought. And he did. He did. However, the Kings did just enough to pull out a victory. Sabonis had 5 fouls. Russell Westbrook had 5 fouls. Once that happened, and Giannis started getting the ball and just going straight to the basket in those plays, and I was talking to my dad during the game, and I was like, this is going to test the coaching of Doug Christie because do you leave Sabonis out there, who's literally on this play that I'm speaking of? Giannis he got the ball and he just went left, and Sabonis let him go all the way to the basket and dunk it. And it turned it into like a 4-point game or something like that. It was late in the fourth quarter. Sabonis had 5 fouls. The very next play, I think Westbrook got his fifth. And I was like, what the heck are the Kings going to do? And I said, if they lose this game, that means Doug Christie got out coached. I said that. I'm telling my dad this on the phone as we watching the game. I said, if I were the coach, I would consider sitting Demonis Sabonis. And my dad was like, well, who you put in? And I was like, well, Carwell. I was like, I'd rather have a guy in there foul Giannis and let him shoot free throws over just going straight to the basket or giving a weak effort in defense because he had the 5 fouls. One more, he's out. And I was like, I'd rather Carwell play hard and foul him and make Giannis win at the free throw line. I was like, if he leaves Sabonis in, Giannis is going to go to work and he's going to win this game. And I think that was very, very much possible. But the biggest play of that fourth quarter, and I'm sure Giannis is, kicking or pinching himself, whatever the correct term is. And when he drove to the basket on, I think it was Westbrook at the time, and Miles Turner was, spotting up for a corner three, and he tried to kick it to the opposite corner, and it hit the rim on the pass. It hit the rim. It was a turnover. Kings got it and capitalized. That was the turning point. That was the moment it was clear why Doug Christie is the head coach and not Mark Haynes. I think they won at that point, and I think it was a great decision to leave Doug Christie. I mean, not Doug Christie. Sorry, Demonis Sabonis, to leave Demonis Sabonis in. So shout out to Doug Christie. I don't know. I'm recording literally like minutes after the game. I'm not listening to post game interviews. I'm not grabbing any narratives, but the players did what they do. I think the Sacramento Kings has a lot of talent. I think Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Demonis Sabonis, Dennis Schroeder, Russell Westbrook, these are all talented players. These are all players who can play the game of basketball at a high level. But I think what won this game today, I was about to say tonight, but today, to this day, in the worlds of Deontay Wilder, the Bronze Bomber. If y'all know, y'all know. But today, I think all the credit goes to Doug Christie. And if they were home, and if they were lighting the beam in front of their home crowd, I would say this is a game. I don't have any say so, first off. I don't have any say so on who likes the dang beam, and I don't know who does. But if I had to say so, if Mark Haynes had to say so of who lights the beam tonight, it would be Doug Christie. Because Doug Christie coached a heck of a game and got his team a victory, a much needed victory, and a victory that is going to have the city lit on a Saturday night in Sacramento. The first day of November. Start the month off right. This could be a winning month, could make you forget about October completely. And that's what Doug Christie and the Sacramento Kings have set for Kings fans and Sacramento fans for the rest of the month. We are going to figure out what this team is really about. And I just wanted to jump on there really, really quick to give you guys something, in my opinion. And I promise to give you more and more when it comes to frequency moving on throughout the season, regardless of wins, regardless of losses. Y'all go hear and see my face tonight. On this episode, you go hear. You ain't gonna see. I got to get a haircut. When I get my haircut, I'm just playing. I do need a haircut though. I'm gonna get a haircut probably on Monday at 6818 Barbershop. I'm probably gonna get a haircut. And y'all gonna see this freshly cut face talking Kings basketball. Hopefully in another win. Let's see what happens next. But Sacramento Kings won 135, 133. The beam will be lit. I don't remember the last time the beam was lit. It's not lit right now. I'm in the in the Thomas area so I can see, and I don't see no beam. And I don't know if the beam shines during the daytime, but once it get dark, look out your window. Step outside if you're a Kings fan. Look up in the sky. You ain't gonna see me, but you might see that beam. So good win for the Kings. A lot more work to do. This is nothing to celebrate about, but it is definitely something to be happy about. Saturday, it's the weekend, first day of November, and the Kings are 1-0 in November. Let's see if they can make it too. And I'm your host, Mark Haynes, and this is the Bleav in Kings pod. And we signing out. Peace.